did I want to go to church? Do I want to start going to church? And I said, yeah. So I went to this church, Unity Gospel House of Prayer, and Pastor Marlon Locke and Lady Kimberly Locke. And I went there, and man, he had a word for me. And when we left out, she was asking me like, did you enjoy yourself? And I'm like, yeah, man, dude, nice. And then he was a younger pastor, so that really made it kind of relatable. He was relatable to me. He wasn't no older guy. He was like in his 30s at the time, and he was kind of relatable. And I was listening to his story. He got a brother, that's locked up in jail, got 2 consecutive life terms. So it's like, man, I can relate to dude. And then I came back the next Sunday, which was June 29th. And man, I heard another word from him. And man, I ended up getting saved. I said, man, I done tried everything in my life. I'm gonna try Jesus. And man, that ultimately ended up being the best decision that I ever made in my life.
Wow. So you went back to the lifestyle after getting out of the hospital and recovering from PTSD and everything else. And then it wasn't until 15 years later that you finally had your conversion experience. In that 15 years, you had to have run into your uncle at some family function, at grandma's house, your mom's house, somebody's. I mean, your mom was one of 9. Like, how does that go down when you see him and you know what he had set you up with?
You know what? It was all forgiven. He had came and lived with me a while. He was down on his luck. I opened my door to him, let him come live. It was all forgiven. Like I had forgiven him for everything that he had done. And it's a lot of people ask me that to this day, like, man, how did you forgive him so easy? I really don't know. I really don't know how I forgave him so easy. That's how I know God just had his hands over my life. And this was just something that I had to go through because I couldn't do his work with that stony heart, with that unforgiving heart. So that was something that he had to show me at an early age, that I have to purify your heart so you could be able to do my work, so you could be able to hear my voice and things like that. So I really don't know, me personally don't know how I was able to forgive him so easy, but I know that it is a God, and I know with God anything is possible, and God made that possible for that transition to be so easy for me to be able to forgive him so easily.
Because usually that happens after the conversion experience, not before. But this was your walk to salvation. Not, it wasn't an instant thing, so it took you a while to get there, and I'm happy that you got there. When you're going through all of this and you're going through the lifestyle again and realizing it's not for you, were there moments of light that you saw along the way that you kind of ignored or neglected in seeing that there was the possibility of God was doing more for you and you really shouldn't be in that lifestyle anymore?
One thing that I learned this: I never understood why I was so different. I never understood that. I never understood why I didn't think like a lot of the people that I used to be around. I didn't understand, like, I was never I was never a disrespectful gangbanger. I was never a disrespectful drug dealer. Like, I never did things, like, I always liked to help people. Even people that was buying drugs for me to use, I always tried to help them. I always tried to tell them, they were better than that. And I never understood where that came from. And people on my guys on my block used to make fun of me, like, man, you trying to make the people go to the rehab. We trying to make money. You trying to get them. And I never understood that. But one thing that I do know now, that's something that God placed in me. He gave me a voice to help people. He gave me a voice to motivate people, to push people to be the best them that they can actually be. And now that I really understand that, I look back over my life and I say, wow, he been gave me this gift long time ago. I just never operated in that gift. I never really walked into my fullness of the purpose that he set before my life. So yeah, now that I have Christ in my life, I'm able to look back and say, wow, I've been had this. It's just now the anointing is on it. So that's what make me powerful for people to receive it now, and wouldn't receive it back then. And then the lifestyle that I was living, church is not just going into a building. Church is a lifestyle. And a lot of people don't understand that. That's where a lot of people struggle, that they don't understand that salvation is a lifestyle. It's a 365 day a year, job that you have to do this every single day. You can't take no breaks off. And that's where a lot of people struggle with, because they believe just, oh, because I can go into the church on Sundays, I'm good, and that's far from the truth. But that's up to, it's for people that proclaim Christ to be their savior. That's our job, to teach them that, but teach them in love, not tell them that they doing something wrong, but just show them what they're doing wrong. Show them why, you know what I'm saying? If you do it like this can work. Show them the alternative that I was saying that we didn't see as children growing up. Show them, if you really trust God 7 days a week instead of just on this one day, that it really, really works. Show them why tithing is important. We don't like to talk about tithing and stuff in churches no more, because we don't want people to be offended. But do you understand that tithing is a part of salvation? If you don't know that, if you a pastor or something, you're afraid to talk about that, you really not helping these people. But you getting up on the pulpit saying, if you want God to open this door for you, give me $100. That's not a God, because God is not a genie. You can't just rub God and say, man, I'm finna give you $100. I want you to pay this bill for me. That's not how God operates, and that's shame on people that do that. You got to let people understand why obedience. Why obedience? That's why the Bible say obedience is worth more, is worth more than sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Because you sacrificing by tithing, but what if you can't tithe? What if you don't have a job to tithe? You don't have nothing to tithe. God respects that obedience. And that's what a lot of people don't understand as Christians, and we have walked away from that. And that's why right now, man, God is not too pleased with his Christians, because we have walked away from everything that he's taught. So when we look at the stuff that's going on in the world right now, this is really the Christians' fault, because we're not teaching the way of God. We're pacifying people to feel like, I don't want nobody to not like me. Well, it's not your job. That's not my job for you not to like me. It's my job to tell you the truth. And this is what the Bible say, not what I say, but what the Bible say. And when I can show you in the scripture, this is what the Bible say, don't be mad at me. Be mad at my Lord and Savior, because I didn't write the Bible. This where it came from. You get what I'm saying? So that's what we are.
Well, the funny thing is, I have my master's degree in theology, and I remember the seeker-friendly churches, and they wouldn't talk about tithing. They wouldn't talk about any of this stuff. They were preaching this notion of once saved, always saved. So you were saved on Friday, go back to what you did on Thursday. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. And you're bringing that up, and I'm glad you are, because a lot of people don't understand that. And then St. John Chrysostom said in the 4th century, so we're going back 1700 years, he said, when the pagan calls you a Christian a hypocrite, most of you will have to confess yes to it. And we're at the point that 1700 years later, what St. John Chrysostom said then, we have to confess that yes, we're the hypocrites now. Because like you said, people don't want to talk about tithing. People don't want to talk about sin or redemption or finding their value in anything, and we just don't want to offend anybody. And it's not that anymore. We still have to abide by the rules. And as you said, obedience. And a lot of people are missing that in their lives. And you're absolutely right. It is our fault as Christians that we're not adhering to that anymore.
Absolutely.
So let's go further. You have your salvation experience. You've come there, but having a salvation experience later in life is almost like coming out of a drug rehab or an Alcoholics Anonymous situation, and realizing that the life that was there Thursday and the life that's there on Saturday, the day after the conversion, I'm just picking random days of the week here, is not the same life anymore. You can't go back to the life on Thursday. How do you slowly disassociate yourself, or immediately disassociate yourself from that lifestyle and from those people that you've known for X years, and like, this is all I've ever known till this point? Like, how does the switch come? And does family come along with you on the ride? Does family have to be disowned? Like, how does that work for you?
You know what? That's an awesome question. And when I moved from Chicago to Milwaukee, I was really leaving Chicago in Chicago, So now I was just really basically around all of my family. My biological father lived here. I had brothers and sisters on my dad's side that lived up here, And then all of my siblings on my mom's side, they were all here. So you know what? One thing that I learned about salvation is everybody's not going to be happy for your salvation. That's why it's your salvation, and that's what I went through, and it broke me when it first happened, when I'm seeing my biological father, my brothers and sisters, everybody talking ill about me, and I done changed. And and the thing about it is, it was like, you loved me when I was on my way to hell, but now you don't like me. You saying I'm changed when I'm doing something that's bettering me and my family, me and my children, and it's gonna help you as well. So I think the hardest part was the neglect from the family, not getting that support from the family, out of all the stuff they know that I've been through, all the things that I've done in my life when I should have been dead. God should have been destroyed me. I just think the most hurtful part out of that is when you hear somebody that's near and dear to your heart say, I don't mess with him because he think he better than everybody. And I never thought that I was better than anyone. I just made.
We lost your audio.
I never thought that I was
Here, we
better.
got you back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I never thought that I was better than anyone. I just chose to start making better decisions. And that's what a lot of people didn't understand. Like, it's not that I'm still the same person, but my decision making have changed. I have put myself around men that first of all, they love Christ. And then they love being one husband to one wife. They love being fathers. They love being friendly. They love their peace. And now that I got a piece of that, I don't want to let that go. It was just like when I joined the game. When I found out about the game, I wanted to be all I can be in the game. So now that I joined the army of the Lord, why would I give Satan 100% and then give God 25%? That don't make sense. I'm going to give you more. I'm going to give you that 100% plus a little bit more, because I believe that this way of living is just the best way of living. I never had peace when with $100,000 under the mattress. Guess what? You ain't got no peace. You peeking out your windows and making sure ain't nobody following you home at night, making sure you keeping a gun on you. That ain't peaceful. You drinking every single day. You sleeping with this woman today and with that woman tomorrow. You arguing. I love having one wife. I love having, I can lay my cell phone down anywhere and she can answer it. And I ain't got to sleep with my phone under my head. And that's not peace. Every time she move, I got to jump up and make sure she ain't trying to go through my phone and all that. There ain't nothing peaceful about that. So once I got over that hurt and start understanding what Jesus was saying when he was telling us in his word that they're gonna crucify you the same way that they did me, and understand that we take on that cross that we said that we surrender to, and say, when Jesus said, follow me, pick up your cross and follow me, we take on that, we bear that. So guess what? Only people that can really hurt you are the people, the ones that's close to you. Because if an outsider walked away from you, it really wouldn't bother you because it's an outsider. But when your family do it, it's gonna be the ones that's closest to you that can hurt you, because they are the closest ones to you. So they are the ones that can hurt you. So once I got over that and started really understanding it's not them, but it's the unclean spirits that live in them that's fighting against me, and I started really understanding what salvation was really was. Now, instead of me being hurt, now I'm able to pray for them and ask God, God, just the same way you saved me, I'm asking you to save them as well, the same way. And that was the biggest turning point of my life, even with my family.
I love it. That's the important thing. We've all been through it with family, that the family betrayal thing. Whether it's a cousin or an uncle or whatever, is what it is. Your eldest son was not 19 months, almost 2 years old. A little over a year and a half at the time when this happened. So he has no recollection of it. But when he saw you in that lifestyle and he saw your conversion, what's the one thing your your oldest son can say that, yeah, dad was like this, but now that I'm a man, and then he's found God, like the switch, like what does he see in you that's different from then to who you are today?
You know what? In my oldest son, and that's a great question, because my oldest son, he kind of steered towards that lifestyle that I was living. He kind of went towards that lifestyle that I was living, and and it was by the grace of God that got him back to where he is right now, to understand, because one thing that I tried to tell, I tried to shelter my kids from that. I try to shelter them from that, to keep them away from all that, and keep them from that type of lifestyle. So now that he's up at age and he has children of his own, and now he's got himself together and he's working and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Now he's man, excuse me, man, that's my mom at the door. She just can I answer this door right quick?
Yeah, I'll pause it real quick.
Okay.
Didn't I tell you I was on an interview?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Check your phone.
Oh, sorry. Where the dog?
He up.
Oh, sorry.
You steady calling me. I told you I was gonna call you when I got off the interview.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get no interview.
Sorry about that, man.
No problem. All right, let's pick back up real quick. All right, now that you got to talk to your mom, because hey, you got to answer when mom calls. So.
I texted her already and told her I was doing the interview. I was gonna call her back.
Thanks for my text. Sorry.
All right, man. Let's go into the book itself. Like, what was the day that you decided to sit down and go, I'm going to write the book about my life and my experience, and hopefully this will help people with their conversion experiences, or at least open their eyes to God. And then you decided on the title, The Devil Thought He Had Me.
Well, you know what? When the incident had happened with me and my uncle, I had already told myself that I wanted to write a book. I had already told myself, like, once I got out the hospital and things of that nature, I had told myself that I wanted to write a book. I wanted to. I had, at that early age, 18, 19 years old, I was like, man, I want to try to save as many of these youth as I possibly can, so they never have to go through the things that I had just went through. So I really already wanted to write the book. But here you go again. I've never known nobody that wrote a book. I never knew nobody that has wrote a book. I didn't even like reading at the time. I didn't even like, man, once I got out of school, I'm like, man, I'm never picking up another book. So it was like once I joined Unity Gospel House of Prayer, and my first lady Kimberly Locke, she wrote her first book, and I read her book, and man, I just told myself, like, I can do this. Like, I could write this book. I want to write this book. And then one day I was sitting in church, and they began to play this song by Ty Tribbett called "He Turned It." And the chorus was saying, the devil thought he had me. He thought my life was up. And when he said that, I'm like, I turned to my wife and said, that's the name of my book. And she was like, what? I'm like, the devil thought he had me. I'm like, that's the name of my book. That's the book that I book. And it was like God was telling me, like, this the name. And I'm like, that's the name of my book. And then a few weeks later, man, we was all at a gathering. I had told my pastor, and I said, man, I'm about to write a book. And they was asking me, like, man, what is it going to be about? I'm like, my life. They was asking me, then they was like, what's the name of it? I said, The Devil Thought He Had Me. And everybody was like, they just went crazy over the title, like, oh, that's dope. And I'm like, yeah, man, like, God gave me that title sitting in church the other day when y'all was playing that song, when y'all was doing this, the choir was doing a song by the guy Ty Tribbett or whatever. And yeah, that's how I end up and putting it to place. And but it took me 3 years too long, because I was procrastinating. It took me 3 years too long, and then last May, like I think it was May 29th, my favorite cousin got killed in Chicago. He got shot 25 times, and that night I woke up when I got the phone call. It was like 4:30 in the morning, and I said, you know what? I gotta do something to get my family out of this situation, out of these neighborhoods. And man, I just finished writing. Man, that happened in May, and I was done with the book. I believe by the beginning of August, I had finished it. And man, we was going through the publishing process and everything by October, editing and all that. And by December, everything was ready. Everything was ready. Then the book was released February 2nd of 2021. And man, now I'm writing another book right now.
Nice. What's this book about? If you can share it.
You know what, it's just this book is just really, I'm gonna talk about how I end up getting to Milwaukee and getting saved and things of that nature, and you know, the ups and downs of being saved. And then after that, I got another book called that I'm coming after that, and it's just gonna really just talk about the struggles that I went through with my wife. Me and my wife went through. The title of it's gonna be called In the Valley. And it's just a struggle of being saved, like being a married man, being saved, and slipping and going back to living the life that I was living, because I slipped and fell and went back, and all the turmoil that had caused, and and everything that me and my wife went through, almost getting a divorce, and just the ups and the downs of being in the valley. You know, a lot of people see right now, but they don't understand all the hell that I've been through to get to where I'm at right now. That's why I love my peace. That's why I don't give my peace away for nobody, because I fought too hard for it. And a lot of people need to hear that, because a lot of people don't, it ain't too many people that will really look at TD Jakes and they just see money. They don't know what TD Jakes been through to get what he got. They don't understand what LeBron James went through to get what he got. They just see what they see. They don't understand every day them men struggle. They don't understand that. And people, but it's people that need to hear that part of life every day to say, man, it's a struggle every day. Like, people think when you get saved, like everything just go from here to there. They just say, oh man, everything is just perfect now because you say, oh man, that's when the struggle start. But that's when you got to believe, and you got to have that faith and say, man, God is with me through this struggle. And that's the part that make it saying, like, man, I know God can do this. Like, you bragging on God when you say, man, I know God can do this. I know God can bring me out of this. And you living obedient, and you doing what you're supposed to be doing. Why God gonna come through? Because he said he can't lie. He don't lie. So he's gonna come through. He might not come through the way you want him to come through, but guess what? He's gonna come through.
I don't want to make any assumptions, but you said you slipped back into the lifestyle after having been saved. One notion would be that, after making $100,000 at one point, hand over fist in a week, and then getting a regular job, and then seeing what you brought home in that paycheck, and then on top of that, seeing what taxes were taken out of it, could also be a driving factor to send people into the lifestyle that you tried to leave behind.
Yep, and that's true, and it wasn't really the money part aspect of it. It was me not understanding what faith was. See, I was still young in Christ at the time, so I really didn't understand faith. So when I had began teaching for Racine Unified School District, I was teaching, and during the summertime, the teachers don't have a job, so you don't get unemployment or nothing like that. So when I figured that out, and man, I had to get laid off, I was so scared of my family going without. I'm like, man, I'm just gonna do this for the summertime. That's you can't just pick up sin and want to put it down when you want to. The devil don't work like that. The devil, because his job is to try to destroy you while you in your sin. He's not just gonna let you. You can't just pick him up and pick him down like that. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't understand what faith was. So I never even tried to depend on faith. Even though God had been showing me that he was with me and my family, I really still didn't really understand what that was. So, man, I tried to find a job, couldn't find a job. Man, a week or two went past, a month went past, and I just like, man, you know what? I'm about to go sell me some dope because I know I'm gonna make me some money. And what I started off thinking that it was gonna be for 90 days until school started back, it ended up keeping me for like 6-7 months. And back at and that's was the the lowest, started being the lowest point of my marriage. I was back drinking. I was, had wrecked my car 2-3 times. I had wrecked my car like 3-4 times that summer. The insurance just dropped me and my wife. They said, no, y'all a liability. We just dropping y'all. She was frustrated. My household was turned upside down. It was just, but guess what? It all started with me being the man, being the covenant of my family. I had stepped from under the covenant of God, so it was no protection there. Now I'm back living off grace and mercy. And so with grace and mercy, you still got to accept everything that you got coming to you. My grace just going to cover you where you don't die. My mercy is just going to allow you to wake up and see another day, to be cloned to your right mind, have the activity of your limbs and things of that nature. But my peace stepped away from you when you stepped up out of my umbrella. So you can't have your peace too, you know what I'm saying, and do all that and do everything your little soul desires. So, man, that's where we were at. That's where we was at.
I love it. That's an absolute honest perspective on what's going on with faith, and people that fall away from it often don't realize it, or people that don't believe that Christians actually believe what they preach, and how you describe it is spot on. Wendell, when you sit there and you worked your way out of the valley after that, what's the one thing your wife really noticed in the change with you and decided to stay?
She's the sincerity, that I was sincere when I apologized to her, and I sat her and my children down and I apologized to them for my behavior. And I asked God, I told God, I said, if you just give me this one more chance to make it right, I'm gonna make it right. Because I had done so much things with me and my wife. I had just turned our household upside down, and it was all because of me. And she was a great wife. She just had my back. But it came to the point where her having my back, it was starting to hurt her. Now she was feeling the wraths of everything that was going on, because now I'm coming in the house 1-2 o'clock in the morning. Now I'm back to hide my phone and doing things that I wasn't doing at first. So here we go with the games again. Here go the games, and you coming in drunk and you doing this, you doing that, and and I believe once she just got fed up, and she said, look, if you love me, you gonna have to figure something out if you want this to work. But if you don't, just let me go. And I think that was fair, because she could have just ran to the divorce court and said, you know what, we just gonna get a divorce. I don't want to work it out. So we sat down with the kids, and man, it was real heartbreaking. My kids was, they was crying, and they was just letting me know, they scared for me every day. I'm getting drunk every day, and they don't know if they gonna get a phone call that I done killed myself or I done killed somebody. And when you have your babies, telling you things like this, and man, it's like it's an eye opener. It's an eye opener, because they looking at you as Superman, but you letting them down. You your own kryptonite. It ain't nothing else that's stopping you from doing. You stopping yourself. And man, I just vowed to my children and my wife. I said, man, if y'all give me a chance to make this right, I'm gonna make it right. But first I went to God, and I said, if you give me a chance to make it right, I'm gonna make it right. And man, he allowed me to make it right, and I made it right. And we've been strong. We've been standing strong. Do we have our moments when do we go through? Yeah, we go through. We still gonna go through. We go through. I just was going through. Today is the first day I done felt, even like talking in like 3-4 days. But we go through to get through, and that's one thing about the power of prayer. Sometimes you just gotta go and you just gotta tell God, like, hey, I'm just gonna trust you. Like I'm just gonna trust you. While I'm going through, I'm just gonna trust you. And that's all he say, man. Count it all joy. Just count it all joy. For whatever you're going through, just count it all joy. And that's what we, as Christians, we have to understand that, man, listen, every day ain't going to be a good day, but every day is never going to be a bad day, And we have to appreciate those valley moments, because those valley moments is what you gain strength in the valley. You learn how to pray in the valley. You learn how to fast in the valley. You learn how to, be humble in the valley. That's why you can't just say, man, I don't like them valley moments. I don't like it. Yeah, don't nobody like going through. But guess what? It's necessary. It's necessary. You have to.
What do you tell the jealous people that sit there and go, how come God decided to give you so many more chances than other people that were as faithful as you, or not, or more so faithful than you? Why do you get all these second chances and God allows you this extra grace?
And you know what? I don't know. That's something you got to ask God, because I'm not God. I'm not God. And one thing that I do understand and I do know, forgiveness runs out. Even God get tired. You just can't keep on. See, and I was explaining this to a young man today about this. See, one thing Jesus said that a lot of people don't understand when he say it's best that you didn't know me. See, when I didn't know him and I was out there being foolish and his grace and his mercy was covering me, he's not going to hold me accountable for that. But see, as me knowing him and knowing him now, I'm not going to keep being able to keep on running away and trying to live on grace. Eventually, that's going to run out. You just can't keep on taking forgiveness for granted. You can't keep on intentionally doing something and saying, oh, God, forgive me. No, because it comes a point in your life where you say, no, I can understand you was just riding down the street and this happened. But when you're making a day to go sin and do stuff like that and say, man, I'm gonna go do this, that's foolishness. That's not I slipped and fell. Now you wanted to do that. You wanted to do that. So we have to get to that and saying, well, God understand. Well, no, God don't understand, because he give us exits. He tell us, he give us exits. When temptation come, God don't test us with temptation, but he give us exits from temptation. You could get away if you really wanted to get away. The question is, do you really want to get away? That becomes the ultimate question, because there's some people you go put yourself in fire, and then you ask God to get you out the fire. Well, you shouldn't have been over there anyway. Why is you at old girl house at 12 o'clock at night talking about some she wanted to talk? Talk about what? No, sweetheart, call me at 9 o'clock in the morning. Let's meet at the Starbucks. I don't want to meet in your bedroom. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of the things that we put ourselves in situations where, are you really being honest with yourself and saying, well, did the enemy really trick you, or was you willing? Because a lot of the stuff we just be willing. And then we say, oh, God, I didn't try to. Come on, man, let's use common sense now. Now we going to use common sense.
God made me do it. Like, there are those people that, or why didn't God stop me from doing it when he had the exit strategy? I want to leave you with this last question for people that are struggling with their faith. They've been through a similar situation to you, but now they're falling on hard times, and they're struggling with what's going on in their life. They're in the valley now and struggling with it. And Pentecost isn't that far away. We're about 30-something days from Pentecost now. What do you tell those people to help them persevere?
First of all, I want you to know that God tells us, it's a lot of in the Bible when Jesus tells us remember. He always tells us to remember, because he wants you to bring back to your memory of the great things that he have did for you. See, we as people, we forget. We so easily forget when God brought us out of something. When God bring us out of something, and we, now we back to the happy moments of things like that. And then as soon as we go through something else, we start to worry. We start worrying again. Didn't God just bring you out of that? So why he gonna leave? If he wanted to destroy you, he'd have just killed you in that. So we have to learn how to just really solely depend on God. When he say surrender, that means surrender. You have to learn how to solely surrender on God and trust him that he knows best for you. See, when we understand that God knows best for us than what we know best for us, then that's when you really, really learn how to trust him. Just like a dad, just like you or me, for example. I have a 9-year-old daughter. Why would I give her the keys to my car? Why would I give her the keys to my car and tell her, well, you take yourself to school? Why would I do that? Because I know best for her, right? So if I'm her father and I know best for her, guess what? God is my father. And guess what? He knows best for me. So it's certain things when we ask and say, well, God, can I have this? And he say no, it's not to get mad. It's to say, well, God, I trust that you know what's best for me. I know that I trust that you know why I have to go through this. That's why he said, give thanks in everything, not for everything, but why in everything. So even when you going through your valley moments, you still, and that's what I had to do yesterday. I went to my prayer room, and I just began to thank him for all the things that I was going through. Everything that I was going through, I just began to thank him because guess what? I get to thank him. I get to thank God for going through. What about that person that don't even know who God is that's going through without God? Ooh, that's scary. To think about some of the stuff that these people deal with every day and they don't even, they living off that grace and that mercy. They don't even have a friend or nobody they could call or turn to because they don't even know who God is. That's a scary part. When I just get to thank God for going through it. Like, God, I trust you. I know that it's purpose attached to what I'm going through. Now I can wake up today like I did, and I just feel so much better. I felt so much better all day. Even my wife said, you feeling better today? Yeah, because God is in control. God is in control.
Mr. Wendell White, I thank you so much for your time today. Please tell us where we can find you on social media and where we can find the book, The Devil Thought He Had Me.
Man, I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity. And you can follow me on Facebook at Arthur Wendell White, or you can follow me on Instagram at WendellW_24. You can order the book off my website, WendellWhiteSpeaks.com. Or you could go to Amazon.com and order the book. And for any men or youth out there that is in need of a mentor, that's looking for a mentor that you're trying to climb over this wall, I want to help you climb over this wall. I have a mentor program that I mentor young men, and I mentor the youth, and I mentor men. And you can also find that on my website at WendellWhiteSpeaks.com. And man, if you never had a mentor, or you don't know what a mentor is, man, hit me up and I give you a free consultation and we could talk and I could tell you what my program is about. It's a 4-week program, and man, I just want to help you climb that wall that they saying that you couldn't climb and get over. I just want to help. That's all I want to do is help you get over that wall and let you know that greatness lives in you and you have a purpose, and God has attached purpose to your life, and I want to help you figure out what your purpose is. That's it.
Wendell White, thank you so much. The author and the title of his book, The Devil Thought He Had Me. It's been a great pleasure. You know, we're going to have to revisit this conversation when your next book comes out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It'll be a pleasure.
Perfect. God bless you and your family, and I'm so glad that you're still here with us after everything you've been through.
Thanks a lot, sir. You have a good one. God bless.
God bless you too.
All right.